Nikki Haskell is a remarkable entrepreneur, pioneer, and fearless leader. Nikki has lived many lives through it all. She was a pioneer in finance and business as one of the first female stockbrokers on Wall Street. However, Nikki shifted her focus to the entertainment industry and became a well-known talk show hostess, artist, investor, and extraordinary party giver. She's also brought several products related to weight loss to the public, including Star Caps, Star Cruncher, Nikki Bars, and Star Suckers. Aside from her fabulous accomplishments, I'm proud to call her one of my closest friends. Hello.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
How are you?
Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Okay, well, I had to, look it up on Wikipedia. So
okay.
I just found it somewhere.
It's laying around.
It's laying around somewhere.
Any place you go, my bio is on the wall.
Hey, speaking of which, why is it not at the Palm?
My picture?
Yeah.
I actually was living in New York at the time.
Well, I was just thinking, of all places, I'm surprised you never had a photo at the Palm.
But I wasn't here.
There was a Palm in New York.
I was in the Palm in New York, but I wasn't the Palm here.
Did you have a picture there?
Huh?
Oh, I did. Ooh, okay. Well, that's pretty impressive.
Think?
You think?
I'm going to be on the cover of the menu at the Petit Four.
Are you really?
Yeah. They took my picture for the menu.
Oh, well then, okay. Now
I'm
you're on one up.
I'm under hot dishes.
I love Le Petit Four. That's one of my. Nobody will go with me. It's my favorite.
Why?
Place.
I go there all the
I
time.
don't know. They think it's kind of Euro-y. You know how it's kind of like it's like there's it's just a Euro group of people. They don't. I don't know. I love it.
Where do they like to go, to Culver City?
Exactly. Good point.
I like it there.
I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. The food's good. They have good drinks. Get a nicotini there.
Great nicotini. You can also have smoked salmon pizza, which is phenomenal. Okay, back to business. The Nikki Haskell Show was a huge success and considered to be the forerunner to Entertainment Tonight and Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, but it was also the only show filmed at Studio 54. Okay, I'm not going to ask questions. You're just going to do the talking. Tell me how this started and tell me the whole story.
Well, I was just going to grow up, get married, and live happily ever after.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen.
It never entered my mind that I would actually have to work for a living. So when I was married to my ex-husband, who I was married to twice.
Hold on, let's go back there for a second. How was it? What was better, the first, the second?
It was a toss-up.
It was a toss-up.
It was actually probably better the second time.
Did he speak English?
He did. That
Okay.
was his first mistake. That was the beginning of the problem.
Okay, go on.
And when we lived in Los Angeles, he was in the real estate business. He developed Lancaster, California.
Ooh, that little place.
Yeah, he did a good job. He was very smart. And then we moved to New York. And one day he said to me, when we were divorced, I took $18,000 and ran it to $2.5 million in the market by mistake, like a fluke. My girlfriend, when I got divorced, I had $18,000. I said to my girlfriend, give me a list of the stocks that your father bought for you, because he was Pandro Berman. He was the head of MGM. He did all the Fred Astaire, Ginger Roger movies and discovered Elizabeth Taylor and Cat in a Hot Tin Roof and Something of Value. So they gave me a whole list of stocks, and I bought 10 shares of this and 5 shares of that, and within about 3 weeks, everything had doubled. I must have picked the day the market bottomed.
Right.
So I was really doing great in the market, and a friend of mine came to me and said, there's a new company going public called Learjet.
Learjet.
And we're going to give you 10,000 shares of Learjet. So I sold everything that I had, because I really did well, and I bought Learjet at $10 a share, and it went to 186 and split 3 for 1, and then went to 186 again and split 3 for 1. And one day I was in the hairdressers, and on the front page of the Hollywood Reporter, it said Frank Sinatra and Learjet do a joint venture with Ford Motor Company for the cassettes.
Uh-huh.
So I went out, bought some more, sold it, and that was that. So my husband said, why don't you get a job? And I thought, well, maybe I'll become a stockbroker. I mean, I did such a great job, not knowing anything about it. It never entered my mind that there were no women on Wall Street.
Don't you have to have a degree, though, in finance to do that?
Well, this is what you had to do. So a friend of mine owned a brokerage firm, and I went to work there. You have to train for 6 months, and you have to take several sets of, you take the New York Stock Exchange exam. You have to take a lot of exams. I went to the New York Institute of Finance. I was the only woman. There were 1,600 men. Perfect for me.
I know, right? You must have been in town.
And I passed my test, and I became a stockbroker. And I did that for 10 years. And, when all the other women were out there burning their bras and trying to be independent, I was doing it. I was actually on the job training. I went to restaurants that said men only. I went right in. Never stood in my way.
Still are that way.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Doesn't mean me. To me, a line is something you go to the front of. You know? It doesn't need me.
I will tell you, because I am very close to her, this woman has balls of steel. There is no stopping her. No way of stopping her.
That's right, and don't forget it.
Yeah.
I instill fear
And
into the
she
hearts of
and
men.
she has no qualms about it. She will tell you to your face.
And then, when I quit being a stockbroker after 10 years, Prince Egon von Furstenberg came to me. He was one that was married to Diane von Furstenberg, and said they want me to do this cable television show, and I'd like you to be my co-host.
Well, hold on. How did he come to you?
He was a friend. I knew him
Okay.
socially.
All right.
Actually, it's a very funny story. This particular night, I decided that I was going to stay home because I'd been out every single solitary night in the history of the world. Studio was roaring into the sunset. I was having so much fun. I said, I'm not going out. A friend of mine called me and said, there's a dinner tonight at Doubles. Would you
Doubles
like-
at the Sherry
Sherry
Netherlands?
Netherlands, right. Do you want to come?
Which is all gay men and Upper East Side women.
But yeah, it's a mixed bag. But that then it was really popular.
Right.
So we went to dinner, and then they said, come on, let's go to Regine's. So I said, okay, we'll go to Regine's. So we went to Regine's, and Egon was at Regine's. And then they said, come on, let's go to Studio 54. So then we went to Studio 54, and he told me he wanted me to be the co-host of this show that he was doing. And we met with the people that were producing the show, and they wanted to do it in a studio, and I wanted to do it at Studio 54. So I convinced them that we would split it. We'd do half of it in the studio and half of it on location. But I insisted that every week that we did it in the studio, I had another decorator come in and do the set and have, Andy Warhol did the pictures and so the set was different all the time. And we went to Studio 54, and I started doing the show. And then, so when Egon asked me to do the show, I went off to the south of France to the Cannes Film Festival and the Grand Prix.
Wait, were you already in the Hollywood crowd already? You were a stockbroker. Where?
Well, I was brought up in Los Angeles, so
Yeah.
I always went to Cannes. I had a lot of friends that went there for the festival. And he called and he said, I've decided I don't want to do the show. And I was like, oh no, that sounds like such a good idea. And then they called and they said, we're going to make it your show. So they made it my show, and then he was my co-host.
Interesting.
So they wanted to do it one way, and I wanted to do it another way, so I started doing it myself. And the way it worked was, since I didn't have any money and actually no expertise, and
why did you have money? You were divorced already. No.
Yeah, but I'm saying, to run a show, I didn't have any sponsors, I didn't have any, it costs money to run a show.
Yeah.
So what I did was I started at Studio 54. When Studio closed, there was a club that was opening called the Underground, and they paid me $5,000 a week to do a party and put it on the air.
This is what year?
This is like 1979. And so we did $5,000 a week they paid me, and I put some glamorous party together. It was either movie premieres or birthday parties or book launchings or whatever. But every Friday night we had a party. And I would shoot all day. I would shoot fashion shows. I was the first person to ever put fashion on the air. And, the clubs paid me to put the show on there. Plus, I had sponsors, and a lot of sponsors.
What kind of sponsors?
Saratoga Water, Sassoon Jeans, Pan Am. That was my best sponsor.
Yeah.
Because they used to give me free tickets.
Plane tickets.
That was the best. There
That
was
was a
this
good
drunk. The head of PR, Mr. Barkle. Thank you, Mr. Barkle. He would... He was like a 9 martini, so like 5 in the afternoon.
My
I'd call
kind of
him, and
guy.
he was totally stewed. Say, hi, Mr. Barkle, it's Nikki. What do you want? I said, do you think I could have a 747 for Carnival? Okay. Could you please take out the clipper class and put in a piano? and I took everybody down as my guests. Ursula Andrews, Margot Hemingway, the Sadakas.
Oh my God.
It was great. We went down because when I was a little girl, my parents used to take.
Wait, can you explain for those who don't know what a clipper class is?
Well, a clipper class is in a 747. They have a special class that was like upstairs. You have to go up the stairs. We made it into like a dance floor. Took Peter Allen down. See, when I was a little girl, my parents used to take me to nightclubs when I was a child. And the first nightclub act
This explains a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
It actually, that's why I go out every night, because it's in my
your
DNA. So we went, the first nightclub act I ever saw was Carmen Miranda and Jimmy Durante. So there was a little Carmen Miranda in my act ever since.
Love Carmen Miranda.
And I wanted to do a remake of Flying Down to Rio, and since I couldn't get anybody to do it, I figured I'll just take the show to Rio and we'll just shoot Rio.
So you did?
12 times. I went to Rio de Janeiro. I danced on the top of the floats in samba school. I had my costume designer make all my costumes for me. It was fabulous. But we went everywhere. I went to the Philippines with the Marcoses.
The Marcoses. She's referring to Madam
President
Dictator and Mr. Dictator
President
Imelda
Madam
Marcos.
That's right.
Okay. How was that, by the way?
Actually, it was quite fabulous because Warren Cowan was a close friend of mine from
Sure.
Rogers and Cowan. And there wasn't anybody but me, right? So they represented a lot of dictators. They represented
Dictators, if you need representation in
Dictators
Hollywood,
are us.
call Warren Cowan.
That's
Warren
right.
Cowan.
Because they one year they sent me. I went with Reverend Moon. He had made this movie.
He was a good one.
He made this movie called Inshan. So I went there. But the Philippines was the greatest. So I went to the Philippines all by myself. No camera crew, no nothing. And I saw Jeremy Irons. Pan Am.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the TV, and there was Jeremy Irons. I had never seen him before. He had just done French Lieutenants, Women, and Brideshead Revisited. And I went over to the press office, and within 20 minutes, I had commandeered their film crew,
Yeah, I'm sure.
the local TV film crew. I made a deal with them. I'll interview all the celebrities, and you can put them on the air, and I'll take the tapes with me. So that day, I did Jeremy Irons, and I did several other people. And that night, we went to the American Embassy, and Madam Marcos walked in with George Hamilton and everything. She came all the way around, and she came up to me. She said, "Are you Nikki Haskell?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I just saw you on television. You come with me."
Oh, God.
And after that, I was always with her.
Did you guys have the same shoe size?
No,
Too
nobody.
bad.
I mean, I wear a 5.5. So
Oh, Jesus.
She,
Too bad.
she had great shoes.
Actually, great shoes.
But I liked her answer the best in the documentary. Somebody said, "Are you still buying a lot of shoes?" She said, "More than ever." I like that.
How many pairs do you think she had? 4,000?
Nah, but a lot of the shoes that she had, see, she started the shoe industry in the Philippines. So everybody sent her their shoes. But she had a lot of shoes. I don't have any respect for somebody that doesn't have at least 300 or 400 pairs of shoes.
I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree.
And I got an interview with her. She didn't give an interview to anyone except me.
So, was there a lot of security?
They came and got me in an unmarked car. And I was with
Did they put you in the trunk?
No, but I was with Jeremy Irons. He goes, "Well, bye, Nikki. It's nice knowing you. See you later."
It's nice knowing you.
I was the only one she gave an interview to.
How was that?
Well, what happened was before the film festival, her son-in-law, somebody kidnapped her son-in-law and said that she did it,
Oh, lovely.
which she didn't do. She wouldn't spend $8 million at a film festival to have her son-in-law kidnapped when she could have him killed a week after the festival. Why waste her time?
Why waste her time or
Yeah,
energy? She could just have him killed anyway.
So everybody said, I went to Rogers and Cowan and said, I really want to interview Madam Marcos. I said, "Yep, that's up to you."
We're not touching that one.
Right. So she has the women that she hung out with were called her blue ladies.
Oh.
So I had to go through the blue ladies, through the secretaries. Finally, I said, "Madam Marcos." She said, "Yes, I know you want to interview me." She said, "Okay."
Wait, I just realized that some of our listeners might not even know who Imelda Marcos was. So in one sentence, let's just explain. She
and
was
her husband were the
Ferdinand
dictators.
and Imelda were
And
the
Imelda
dictators and ran the Philippines.
Right, until
And
about
came in-
1984.
And came under a lot of scrutiny
Yes.
as they plundered the country.
Actually, they did a lot of good for the country.
Yeah, they did a little plundering, though.
They stole a few little couple
Who's
$1
counting?
billion.
A couple billion. Who's counting?
Right. Well, nobody's
Kind
perfect.
of like Eva Peron. Like, who's counting? Yeah.
I asked her, I said, "Do you people think that you're like Eva Peron? How does that grab you?" And she said, "Not at all." And then I asked her if she'd had her son-in-law kidnapped.
And she
So
said,
those will be my last words.
and she said,
"No,
I could have him
be-
killed."
Why would I be so stupid to do something like that?" And then I asked her, what was the other question I asked her? I asked her if she liked being called the Iron Butterfly.
and
She didn't like that either.
why?
Because she used to wear those big butterfly
I
sleeves.
know.
But I waited till the end of the interview because I'm not an investigative reporter. It's like, what's your favorite color, and who's your best favorite designer, and what kind of china do you use? I'm not. But I waited till the end, and I never ever was programmed.
Did you kidnap your son-in-law?
I was very careful how I worded it.
Well, there's, not many ways to word that.
I said, a lot of people say that you had your son-in-law kidnapped, but we know that's not true, right?
Oh, that's, much, much smoothed over.
Yeah.
So, and didn't you also tell me that her bed was made of just...
Oh, no. When she came, we became very friendly. She had an apartment in New York. She actually had a townhouse. It was just for parties.
Nice.
Perfect, right around the corner from me.
It was perfect.
Perfect, right?
I mean, was it nicely decorated or not? Was it good for you?
When I tell you something, I don't even remember how it was decorated. All I remember, it looked like a discotheque. And when I went to visit her, I went to pick her up one day. We were going to Cartier, and I walked in. She was at the Waldorf in the presidential suite. She had this she had this big bed. It had 2 wooden posts and one in the middle, and it had 100 strands of pearls that were like 40 millimeter pearls from white to black, wrapped in like strips around the bedpost, and all the way down.
And you wonder why her country had a problem with her.
Oh, she said they brought. I asked her why she had them. She said they brought her good luck.
Said she had to bring them from the Philippines while she was staying at the Waldorf.
Right.
Interesting. How did she buy anything good that day at Cartier?
She actually did. It was wild. We went to Cartier, and a friend of mine, Ralph Destino, was the head of Cartier at the time. But she didn't need me, I went with her. They just kept bringing out those trays. I'll take this tray. I'll take that tray.
Oh, doesn't anyone tell her not to pay retail?
She didn't pay retail.
Well, she did. She went to Cartier.
Well, they gave her
a friends and dictators special.
Dictators and friends.
A friends and dictator special.
Yeah.
Good. Did you ever see that movie Down and Out? Not Down, but True Beverly Hills?
Yes.
Do you remember Victoria Spelling?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a scene where a woman pulls up in a limousine and the window pulls down a little bit and they always said it was doesn't matter. It was supposed to be Imelda Marcos. Anyway, moving on.
And so I shot almost 300 shows in the 80s, and of course. Now
you were born in the 90s.
What?
You told me you were born in the 90s.
But the show started before I was born.
Oh, when you were a fetus.
Right. So now the shows are all on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And I just put up yesterday. We just put up another 10 shows, and I found that I had some interviews with Anna Nicole Smith.
Really?
Yeah, that was sort of fun because I did a pilot for a show just before reality shows started called Live from Tattoo. I used to have this club on Beverly Drive. It was really Mark Fleischman's club, but I gave a lot of promotional parties.
Wait, like Tattoo
there.
in the south of France?
No, that's Take Two.
So what's Tattoo?
One's like taps.
No, I know what Tattoo is, but I was wait, who's Mark Fleischman?
Mark Fleischman was the second owner of Studio 54.
Oh, Rybel was the first one, right?
Who?
Who was the first owner of Studio?
Steve Rubel and Lynn Schrager, right. When they went to jail, Mark Fleischman bought it.
Why'd they go to jail?
They went to jail because
Let me guess, tax fraud.
Steve Rubel went on television and said, "Oh, we're making so much money. The ceilings are filled with black garbage bags filled with money."
Oh.
So they came over. The IRS came over, and they went up in the ceilings, and there they were.
It literally was
filled with money. Bags.
What a moron!
You think?
Who says that?
Wait a minute. And then they opened up the books, and cocaine fell out of it. So that
wasn't cocaine.
It was a bad sign.
Wait, hold on. I mean,
42 months. It was only open for 42
anyone who
months.
says that, you would think that like you wouldn't come to search, because what moron would actually say that?
I rest my case.
Oh my God.
So they went to jail, and they had to get rid of Studio.
Ian Schrager too?
Yeah.
So Ian Schrager went to jail. Now, how did he recoup his career? Because now he owns all these hotels.
He came out. He was very smart. He's always been very smart. They had actually Mark Fleischman traded a hotel, the Madison Avenue Hotel. I forgot what. I think that's what it's called, for Studio 54.
For the real estate or for the business?
For nothing. And they never even trademarked the name Studio 54. Can you imagine?
And so what happened?
Anyway, so finally when it ran its course after a few years, he opened another club called Tattoo, and it was opened in New York on 53rd Street or something. And then he decided to come out here and build one out here. So he came to me because we were very good friends. He really helped me a lot with the Nikki Haskell show. We did a lot of things together with it. And he opened up a club out here, and I wanted to shoot a show from the club and do it like a variety show, and do some interviews, and give some parties, because I was giving parties with Red Buttons, and Milton Berle, and Stephen Edie Gourmet, and so everybody came to and I did this pilot for the show, and Anna Nicole Smith was there, so I just took that tape and put it together. That's going up. It really was good.
Why didn't you ever put that show out?
Nobody it was before reality shows. I was always ahead of the game.
Yeah. So when you decided whether you were doing these parties for Red Buttons and whatnot, you're talking about in the Sierra Towers.
No, I'm talking about the club at Tattoo.
When did you move out to LA again?
Like 1986.
1986, and what made you move here?
Well, I lived here all my whole life, and Alan Carr, you know who Alan Carr is?
Yes.
Okay, he was
Very
the one
famous
that
movie producer.
he did Grease.
Yeah.
And he called me and he said, I'm giving a party with Alana Stewart and Stan Dragati, and it's a New Year's Eve party because she has to get out of the house that she lived in with Rod Stewart. And I flew out and I went to this party, and it was like the greatest party I had ever been to in my whole life. And I thought, oh, this is a good idea. Maybe I should move back to LA.
Wait, where was this party?
It was at Alana Stewart's house.
Which one? The one on
No, this is the one she had when she was married to Rod.
on Carrollwood? No, it was in Home Fields, right?
Yes, I think so.
So
So I came out for that, and then I decided that maybe I should start coming back out to LA again because my mother was out here and I really didn't see that much of her, and I wanted to spend time with her. So I came out here and I ran the club for a while, and that was fun. That's when I shot this show.
And so then, when did you buy an apartment at Sierra Towers?
So what happened is I met this really gorgeous guy down in Florida. I was at a big party this is when South Beach first started, and I saw this really gorgeous guy walking towards me, and I thought, wow, how come I never meet anybody that looks like this? And 3 months later, he was living with me at the Sierra Towers.
Wow. What
Yeah.
happened to him? You had him killed.
No, he was so adorable. He was so cute.
So, but when did you buy? So you bought the apartment
I
first.
rented the apartment. First I rented the apartment for about 4 or 5 years, and then I bought it.
Oh, that's funny. And so, when did you start becoming such a good party giver?
I guess I always had party overtones.
Yeah.
I gave parties, don't forget, when I had my television show, I was giving 6 parties a month.
6 parties a month.
Right.
Where?
I would give them at doubles. Not really doubles. I gave one party at doubles, but most of the parties I gave were at the Underground, at Club A, there were lots of clubs around in those days. I used to give parties at the clubs all the time.
What about in Los Angeles? Where would you give parties?
I gave parties at Tattoo.
And Sierra Towers, I'm assuming.
Oh, the Sierra Towers, that was like Party Central. I mean, I could sock 70 people in my apartment, seated.
Where are they sitting on the floor?
Never will anybody sit on the floor. I took my dining room table out and put two 6-foot tables in the dining room. I had this huge terrace, and I had my second bedroom, which I had made into like a nightclub.
What? What do you mean? Would you have it draped?
No, what I did is I had velvet banquette made,
Right.
and I could put a table, and I could get 10 people around for dinner. Everybody always went into that room.
Who would come to your parties?
Everybody came to my parties.
I didn't come to your parties.
You were still in your diapers.
So, well,
I mean,
could have asked me
Jill
anyway.
St. John and Robert Wagner, and I used to give Passover dinner at the house all the time, and Milton Berle would do the questions.
Would do the four the questions,
Yeah,
really?
and Red Buttons. They would all come to my house. Suzanne Plachette.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
You know.
Well, Suzanne actually lived in the Sierra Towers at
No,
one
she
time.
lived at the Empire West.
No, before that.
Never lived at the Sierra Towers.
Yeah, and then she went to the Wilshire Terrace after that, didn't she?
No, but she never went to the Sierra. She never lived at the Sierra Towers.
In the 70s?
No, she lived at the Empire West.
She, Suzanne Plachette, was she a peach or was she?
She was fabulous.
She was fabulous.
Yeah.
Who did you not like?
I like everybody. Cheryl Teagues used to come to my parties.
I love Cheryl. I'm going to have Cheryl on next week.
She's fabulous.
She's
I love
the best.
Cheryl.
I love Cheryl.
I always had lots of fun people at the party.
Cheryl's great.
I used to do, when I had my star caps, after
We'll get there, don't worry.
But I was saying I had billboards on Sunset,
I know.
and I would give billboard parties, and you could actually see my billboard from my apartment.
What, why don't you have photos of those?
I do.
I'd love to see them.
No problem. I'll show them to you right after we finish.
You have them on your phone?
Of course.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
I won the Hollywood, what was it called? The Hollywood
Chamber
Billboard.
of Commerce?
No, I won the Sunset Strip Billboard Award.
The Sunset Strip Billboard Award. Did you compete against Angeline?
She wasn't up during those days. Her boyfriend or whatever would buy remnant space.
Would buy what?
Remnant space.
What means the Kin Phil?
Like when they couldn't sell space, they would sell it to them.
Wasn't he? Yeah, because if you looked at those ads, remember, and it was always like a 213 number at the bottom.
Yeah, she's a hooker.
Yeah.
I put my number up all the time. Nobody ever called me. He said, "Don't you want? You don't really put your phone number, in the phone book, do you?" I said, "Yes, it's been in the phone book since I was a little girl." They said, "Well, why do you put it on your billboard?" I said, "Well, nobody's called me yet."
Seriously, but who was her boyfriend? Just some rich guy that
I don't know. She was
pimped her out?
somebody.
Oh, that's just you're driving sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, let's talk about Donald Trump.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. So, I'm assuming you probably lost a lot of friends because of your support for him.
It's sort of, I've lost a few, that's for sure. But, I've known Donald since 1971. I'm probably one of his oldest friends.
Tell me how you met him.
There was a club in New York called Le Club. It was my favorite club. It was very chic, private club. And one night I was in the club and I saw Donald walk in with this girl. And I went up to the manager and I said, "Who is that?" He said, "Oh, it's a new member. His name is Donald Trump." So I said, "How do you get a membership?" Because it was very hard to get a membership. He said he got one through Herbie Boskowitz, who was sort of
Sounds like a mobster.
No, he was a very heavy banker, Wall Street guy. And I said, "Well, I'd like to meet him." And he said, "Oh, I don't even know him. I can't just go over and introduce you to him."
Why'd you even want to meet him?
Because I thought he was very handsome and great looking. He was good looking.
Clearly things change.
I still think he's attractive.
Oh my God. I just lost so much respect for you. Okay, going on with the story.
Well, you keep it up, honey. You won't have any respect for me.
You give me another 20 minutes, there'll be zero respect.
This is just the tip of the
This
iceberg.
is just the tip of the... For those of you who don't know her, she does not care what people think. Okay.
Well, that's not true. I actually do care what people think. But, we live in a country, you can vote for anybody you want. Last time I looked, this was a democracy. And I don't care who anybody votes for. You vote for anybody you want. But you'd be surprised that the silent majority in Beverly Hills, you'd be shocked at how many people are going to go to the polls and vote for Donald.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because they write me every day. So Roy Cohn introduced me to Donald. He was an attorney in New York in the 80s and 90s, and he was very dangerous kind of guy. I was scared to death of him. And he was Donald's attorney, and he had a dinner party one night at 21, and he invited me. And he either sat me next to Donald or one seat away, but by the time we walked out of there, I was friendly with Donald. Then he met Ivana, and she became my best friend.
So you guys became best friends, and you guys still are very, very close.
Yeah, I'm close to her, very close to her.
Do you guys talk every day?
I called her today, but I don't. She's not big on the phone.
She's not big on. She's more of a texter.
She's more of a
sexter.
I'll see. No, she's not. The problem is Ivana's so funny because people. She has such a thick accent that people will sit there and they'll nod their head and they'll nod their head, and when she leaves, what did she say?
Right.
So she doesn't text any better than she speaks. she has like broken text. You have to. But I've really sort of accomplished I can speak.
In deciphering. I can speak Ivana.
I can speak Ivana, broken French, Italian, Spanish.
Yeah.
I have friends who might say, "How can you understand what she's saying?"
Right.
Because the problem is she only speaks in the first tense. So you don't know if it's happened, it didn't happen,
right.
It's going to happen. You gotta sort of like, did this happen? Did we do this already?
We do this today.
She's fun. She's got a good sense of humor.
And
I was there when all the children were born.
Can you tell the story about the Northridge earthquake?
What story about
with Ivana?
Oh, that was the funniest thing.
So this is the best story ever.
So Ivana and Ivana comes to California. We're invited to this baby shower. And they said, bring a sex toy. About 3 days before, there was the Northridge earthquake, okay? So Ivana said, I said, come on, we have to go to the sex store on Santa Monica Boulevard. She goes, no, I don't want to go there. I said, oh, don't be ridiculous. She said, they're going to recognize me. It's going to be a disaster. I said, come on, Ivana. So we go to the place, and there's like an aftershock. Right? And had a whole counter.
Wait, did you guys wear disguises?
No. She had on glasses and a scarf, but I didn't wear a disguise.
Of course you didn't.
What was it called? The pleasure chest. It was called the pleasure chest.
Yeah, it just closed.
See, we put them out of business.
Yeah, I know, right?
Another place I put out of. And we went there, and they had like dildos all around the counter. And as we had this aftershock, these dildos went like flying off the counter, right? And then there was this big, huge You know those stands that go around where you take things out, they had condoms, you know, on this thing, and the whole rack fell on me. Right, here I am lying on the floor, and Ivana's like horrified, and some big drag queen comes up and says, "Oh, it's Ivana Trump." But that wasn't the funniest. The funniest thing happened. So after that, we went. She wanted to get a costume because Halloween was coming up. I said, "Oh, come on, we'll go to trashy lingerie."
Uh-huh.
So I took her to all the hot spots, right?
Right.
I took her.
You took her to all the hot
I took her to all
spots.
the great places. I also gave her tons of parties at Spago's and the Bistro and every place in my apartment. So we go to trashy lingerie. And so she says, go find a costume for me. So I find Little Bo Peep, right? So they're bringing this costume with this full, so she goes to me, I said, "This is Little Bo Peep." She goes, "What's Little Bo Peep?"
What's Little Bo Peep?
I said, "You know, Little Bo Peep, she lost her sheep." She goes, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
You're like, welcome to my world.
She says, "I'm from Czechoslovakia. What do I know about Little Bo Peep?" Well, we tried on costumes. We laughed so hard. I mean, it was beyond hysterical. We have such a good time together.
So
We're like Ethel and
Lucy.
yeah.
So you go you go really every summer when you're in Saint Tropez.
To where?
When are you in Saint Tropez every summer?
The summer, yeah.
And so she's there. You stay with her.
No.
You stay with Clive Davis.
Well, okay, I have stayed with her. She lives in the port, but we also live in the port.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate. I get to travel often with Clive Davis.
Bob Evans.
Oh, I'm so sad.
What are your thoughts?
You know, I got a phone call one day from Stan Dragati. Stan was married to Cheryl Tiggs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there you are.
That's it before or after Peter Beard?
It was, Peter Beard was after.
Okay.
And he said, Bob Evans wants to meet Margot Hemingway. Margot was my best friend at the time. So I said, "Oh, no problem. I'll fix him up." I was best friends with Bob's brother.
In New York.
Right. So I fixed Bob and Margot Hemingway up. And Bob's office called me one day and said, Mr. Evans would like for you to come out to California because he's going to do a screening of The Sun Also Rises. See, at that moment, Margot was on the cover of Playboy magazine. And I don't know if you know anything about Bob Evans, but when he did The Sun Also Rises, Ernest Hemingway tried to have him thrown off the movie.
Yes, the kid stays out of the picture.
And they came, you know, Daryl Zanuck came down to where they were in Mexico, and they all, Ava Gardner, everybody said, "We want him off the picture. Pedro Gonzalez should be played by a Mexican. The kid stays in the picture. And should be Mexican. He shouldn't be, you know, a Jewish kid from New York playing a bullfighter." and he said, "The kid stays in the picture." So that...
Of course.
Right. So Bob threw this big party at the house, and Warren Beatty was there, and Jack Nicholson was there, and all these people were there. And they showed the movie, and Bob got up, put his arm around Margot, and he said, "Oh, your grandfather would roll over in his grave if he knew that I was here with you." Right? And I left, and I went back to New York, and that summer, I went to Saint Tropez, and I stayed with this friend of mine named Michael Stevens and Nina Stevens. And when I got there, Bob Evans was there with Margot Hemingway. And that summer was the summer that Bob and I became best friends.
Oh, you should have gotten a referral fee for that one.
I did get a referral fee. I also fixed him up with one of his wives.
Which one? Next door?
Next door.
Oh,
Victoria White.
Mrs. Sir Gordon White's.
That's right. I love Victoria.
Sure. What happened to Sir Gordon White?
He died.
Did she?
No. She still lives next door.
She's still there?
Yeah.
And then Suzanne Hughes is on the other side.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really 2 doors over.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff.
So then I became like really friendly with Bob.
Right.
Like joined at the hip.
Until he died?
Mm-hmm.
So who would you say you were closer with, Bob Evans or Ivana?
That's pretty tough. I'm really very friendly with both of them.
Who's your best friend?
You know, I think that slot's open at the top. I moved a couple people out of the top slot.
What about me?
Oh, of course, you. You're my new best friend.
That's true. Okay, now, next, let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about...
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. Let's talk about star caps.
So,
chronological order.
So after, when I still had my television show, there was a product on the market that was sort of similar to Star Caps, and they went out of business. It was a natural diuretic. It was made out of papaya and garlic. So I gave it to a friend of mine whose family had a pharmaceutical company in Peru, because one of the main ingredients came from Peru.
Your friend had a pharmaceutical company in Peru?
Yes, his father. What are the chances of that?
Because we all know people with pharmaceutical companies in Peru.
And I actually remember dancing around the club one night, and he was there, and I reached in my pocket. I said, "See these? Make this product for me." And 2 weeks later, they came back with the product. What do you think the chances of that are? I've been trying to get my invention, the Star Shooter, made for 6 years. And
Yeah, go to Peru.
So I started. I was never in retail or selling any kind of products, and there was a manicurist right across the street from Le Cirque, and I took in 25 bottles, and one day they were gone, right? And it was like an overnight success, but it was really difficult to get into the stores.
I'll say it again because of the motorcycle.
It was an overnight success. Everybody wanted the product.
How did you promote it?
Well, it was really interesting because it was very hard to sell a $100 bottle of garlic.
Yeah.
Don't forget, this was like 1985. The show and the Star Cap sort of overlapped. So one day, I tried to get it into this really exclusive drugstore on Madison Avenue called Zittermore's.
Zittermore's, sir. It's across from the Carlisle.
Yeah, so they carry Zitter, but there was another one that was further uptown, and I went in with Lorna Luft and Liza.
The two of them together?
Yeah, we had lunch, and we went in there, and just as I was selling my product to the owner of the drugstore, they were robbed. And a woman yells out, I've been robbed, right in the middle of my sales pitch.
Wait, you're in there and you're getting robbed?
Yeah, I didn't
With Liza Minnelli?
Yeah.
Wait, are you there during the robbery?
Yes.
And Liza and Lorna?
Right. They got robbed in another department, so it didn't really affect
lovely.
us.
Okay.
Right. But it sort of screwed up my sales pitch.
Right. God damn.
So I hate when that happens.
Hate when that happens.
I went home.
Guy couldn't have waited for you at least to leave?
And I called Cindy Adams,
Mm-hmm.
and I told her the story, and she printed it in the paper about the Star Caps. And then they did Inside Edition did a big story.
On getting robbed?
No, yeah, I think they went through the whole thing.
Great PR.
And then when the Inside Edition did a story on the Star Caps, they sold out completely. And I at the time was trying to get it into GNC, and I pleaded with them to take it, and then they called, we'll take whatever you have, and they put it in the stores.
Thank God for that armed robber, dude.
Yeah.
That guy really...
Cindy Adams was a big help. And then, of course, it was always in the Inquirer and the Globe, and how many celebrities took it. And if you looked in celebrities' medicine cabinets, you'd see the Star Caps. So it became very, very popular. Then I started getting the billboards on Sunset.
So you start getting the billboards on Sunset, and this is like what year?
So I got the billboard. So what happened was, I was living at the Sierra Tower, so that must have been like 1992, okay, and so I had the first billboard was right as you come down. So you remember where Spago's used to be?
Yeah, on Horn.
Okay, so on Horn, but so it was not the one that was right in the front. It was the one that was on the other side. And there was this great restaurant, this Greek restaurant that was over there.
Still there?
No, it's not there anymore. It's another restaurant.
Another Greek restaurant. That little hole in the wall right there, next to Book Soup.
No, it was on the other side of the street,
Okay.
crossing over the other side. It was it wasn't the one on the corner, it was about 3 off the corner. And I gave a big party, and I had orange balloons, like Star Caps.
Right.
And I had the billboard covered, and I had, everybody was there, Milton, all the actors, and this one and that one. We had a big party, and they took the top off the Star Cap billboard, and all the balloons went up. We stopped all the traffic in Sunset Boulevard. And that
Who
was
organized that?
Me.
With the city of West Hollywood or what?
No, I just did it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why not? They didn't tell you not to.
If you ask them, they'll say no.
Never ask. I always tell people when they say to the waiter, can I have this, but I don't want this on it? Don't say can. You just say, I want it this way. Because then they're going to have an excuse to say, well,
We
no,
don't
the
make
chef
it this
doesn't
way.
recommend it this way. Just say, no, I want it this way.
So we did the first big billboard party there. Then, and they were expensive, the billboards. They were $14,000-15,000. So then I decided, we did that for about 6 months, and then General Nutrition Centers decided they didn't want to do it anymore. So from my window at the Sierra Towers, I could see the corner of Sunset and Doheny. So I called the billboard company, and I said, they were at my apartment, I said, I want that billboard over there, above Turner's.
Right.
And they said, oh, that's a terrible billboard. You know, it's too small, and there's trees all over it. So, because it's a
smaller one.
Doheny and Sunset. I mean, it can't get any better than that. I mean,
Right.
Traffic's coming both ways. It's a no-brainer. So I said, how much is it? They said, well, it's $3,000 a month. I said, well, how about if I take it for 5 years? They said $1,200 a month.
That was cheap.
Cheap, right? It was a little billboard. It was only a 4-panel billboard.
Did you have a big one also, though?
Oh, I had lots of big ones, but
Yeah.
this was a small one. So we put the billboard up, and they in those days they hand painted them. You have to give them the artwork, and they hand painted.
Right.
You have to go to these places like airplane hangars,
Right.
and they would paint the things. And you know the little sparklets, the little things the sparklets things that go like the eye. They're called eye catchers.
No.
The little things that sparkle. They're like little round things that go like on the back of a sparklet.
Oh, you have like a panty sequence.
They're like little.
Yeah.
So I had them do. I had one on my finger and one on my eye and one on my toe. And Star Caps was written in green, right? In the green little things. The guy said, "We're giving these to you for free." I said, "Good. We'll put more on, right?" So I was great. Everything was going along very smoothly. And one morning I get up and the billboard's gone. I look out the window and there's no billboard. So I called the billboard company and I said, "Excuse me, my billboard's missing." And they said,
it seems to have disappeared.
"Yes, I don't know where it is. Could you please find my billboard for me?" So we sold the company and we sold it to Regency Outdoor Advertising. This was Gannett, right? So I called. I said, "Well, who do I call?" So I call the man that owned,
Regency.
Yeah, and I say, "Hi, this is Nikki Haskell. Do you think I could when can I get my billboard back?" He said, "Let's get one thing straight, lady. This is not your billboard. It's my billboard." He said, "And you're not going to get it back." And he hung up.
Lovely.
Okay. So about 4 months, they rotated it. It used to be, you could see it going east, and they changed it so you could see it going west.
Right.
So I called him on the phone, and I took Beverly Johnson with me. I said, "Could I come over to your office? I'd like to talk to you."
Why'd you take Beverly Johnson with you?
Because she was fun, and she was recognizable,
Okay.
and she was sort of a spokesperson for the Star Caps at the time. So we go over to the office, and his name is Brian Kennedy.
Oh, Kennedy Wilson?
No, Brian Kennedy.
Okay.
Regency Outdoor.
Yeah, I know Brian Kennedy, sure.
Yeah. So his office is above Book Soup.
Okay.
So I went into the office. He had no interest in talking to me whatsoever. But I noticed on the walls that there were lots of Leroy Neiman paintings. So I said to him, "Do you like Leroy Neiman?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, he's my best friend." So I went home and I had Leroy autograph all these books to him and everything. I gave him the books and I went out I had this I was the first one that designed the billboard, which looked like the Hollywood sign with me sitting on top of it. So I went, I must have been having a bad day because this never has happened before or since. We went to lunch. I remember we went to La Scala for lunch. It was raining out and everything. And I was trying to be nice and I said to him, "I'd really like to get my billboard back."
Wait, why did he even want to have lunch with you then?
I hocked him to death.
You wouldn't leave him alone.
So I broke out in tears and I started crying in the restaurant.
Fake cry for sure, huh?
No, I mean, if I had known that crying would have done such a great job, I would have done it a long time before. He goes, okay, don't get upset. Okay, you can have the billboard. But he gave me a big one.
Oh.
He said, "Do you have the artworks?" "Oh, I just happen to have the artworks."
I just happen to have it with me under the table.
So, and he started putting up the billboards, and I started having Leroy Neiman give me pictures to give to Brian Kennedy.
Oh, that's.
So I traded him off.
Oh, that's.
And then he
hysterical.
became friendly with Leroy Neiman, and Leroy Neiman did a portrait of him, and they became really close friends. They were talking on the phone and everything.
Oh, we're back in business.
So that was it.
So now we're good on time, right?
About 6.
Is it? I mean, you're good. Do we have a little bit more time?
Are we good on time?
There's no one coming in.
Alright, yeah, we're good.
Okay. Okay, so now Star Caps is a huge success.
Right.
Yada yada yada. R.I.P. Come to the end.
So what happened was, see, it was a natural diuretic. I mean, they were really strong. You could lose 4 pounds in 5 minutes with them. I mean, it was
Jesus.
amazing.
Can't we still make them anymore?
Oh, please, I wish I
I'd
could.
make them in garage. I'll go in business with you. We'll make them in my garage.
No, please, I wouldn't even think of it. I wouldn't. But what happened was, first of all, we were in business for 10 years.
Wait, can't you go back? Okay, why couldn't you do it again?
I'll tell you. Okay, so we were in business forever. No one ever returned a bottle of Star Caps. It was like a perfect product. And one day I get a call. Actually, I saw it on television. They said that it was on I guess it was on the sports, like a Sunday night, that 9 teams had been caught taking Star Caps to mask steroids. Okay? So what they did was, players would take steroids on let's say after the game on Sunday. And they take them for 2-3 days. Then they take the diuretic to flush them out of their system. Okay? And they got caught. All right, so instead of fessing up and say that they got caught, they blamed me. They said, oh, it was the Star Caps. So they all sued me. 9 different
but hold on.
teams.
But they go back. They were not able to find the steroids because this flushed it out of them.
Right.
So NFL sued you for what?
The players sued me, the individual
Because
players.
they got
They
caught?
said, because they got caught. It's like anything else. You can sue anyone. By the time, and then my insurance company didn't.
But their claim was that it had something in it, right?
That it had something in it. That's why it reacted to it. But it didn't. It was from the steroids. But the problem is, first of all, they sued me. I had a $30 million product liability, but nobody got sick and nobody got hurt, so my insurance company wouldn't back me up. And then there were 9 teams from 9 different places. I had to get attorneys in all these different places. It was a nightmare. So that was the end of the Star Caps.
Oy. So how did that? Well, okay, fine.
How did that work?
Yeah.
I ended up going broke. I lost my entire business. I had to destroy $17 million worth of Star Caps.
Do you mind if I ask, before you went broke, what in your heyday, what do you think you would have had in the bank at that time?
Now I would have had about 50 million, 45 million.
Why now?
Because if I had had it all these years,
Oh my God! Back then?
don't forget this is before the internet even came in.
It's true.
I was selling them at GNC.
So,
easy come, easy go.
do you think about it all the time?
No, I don't think about it all the time, but it's a fact of life.
Right.
I mean, it was a devastating experience. First of all, it had nothing to do with me whatsoever. There was nothing wrong with the product. I had to test it all the time. But that's what happened.
So what was they said it was something with a B. What was it called? Buplane? What was the thing?
You know, I know this sounds so strange. It was like butanamate, but it wasn't butanamate. It was something like that.
So I understand. So you have the ingredients, the scarlet, the
Papaya.
blah, blah, blah. Why can't you just do that again?
I'll never do another ingestible.
Why?
Because it's not worth the aggravation, because the FDA is looking, I just had this problem. So if I put my name on another product or something like, I would never do it. It's
What
not
do you have to
worth it.
lose?
Well, how about going to jail?
For what?
Because you cannot.
If you get an all-natural something, you go to Guatemala or Peru or wherever,
Yeah,
and
it doesn't work that way. It's so complicated. It is so, I wouldn't do it. That's the end of the case. And I had to, it was awful. I had to go to court. And then after I filed bankruptcy, okay, I thought it was all over. Then the FDA, because I didn't destroy the $17 million worth of Star Caps, I was sort of hoping that maybe someday I could get them back again,
Right.
That the FDA got furious that I didn't get rid of them. So then they came after me, and I had to go to court, and I had to plead guilty to something I was not guilty for, which is really, I don't know if you've ever had to do that. It's the worst.
it's called a plea deal.
And my attorneys, and I had this great attorney, and he said, whatever you do, don't cry. So needless to say, I was in hysterics crying.
Why don't cry?
Because when I had to testify, I was in hysterics. And there was a woman sitting.
Crying is good.
I know. Well,
You didn't like the crying?
He didn't want me to be professional. He didn't want me. So there was a woman sitting in front of me. She was like, "Oh, you should fine her $300,000."
Who was she?
She was like some yenta, and I'm like shooting daggers at her, like she was going like this. I'm sure she felt them,
Okay,
Then I had okay. And then they dropped the case. They fined me. I had to pay $70,000 in fines.
Wait, what happened to all the inventory? The goods?
It cost me $12,000 to destroy 17 million.
How do you destroy them? You burn them?
You have to go to one of those
Yeah.
biodegradable companies, and they have to come in and take the product. And don't ask. It was awful.
So, don't you have a couple left? Damn.
No.
Wish you did.
So do I.
Fuck. We could make some in my garage.
Not worth it.
We'll be partners, but I'll take all the liability.
Yeah, right. Famous last words.
Yeah.
I think I heard that story somewhere before. Is that like I only put it in a little bit? Come on, give me a break here.
Okay.
And listen to this. So the day that like the shit was really hitting the
She
fan,
was in the fan, yeah.
right? Every call was like another horrible call. I looked in the mirror and I thought, my hair really looks great. So I went into the closet. I took a bunch of ball gowns and I went down to Fadil, my photographer.
Yeah.
And I had my picture taken.
Oh, good.
I mean, what could I do? I was like flipping out.
That what made you happy.
Yeah, I just had to get a little release out of it. It was horrible. I'll never forget, I went to dinner that night, and I was having dinner. We were at Nobu, and I was eating dinner, and the tears were streaming down my face. I was completely hysterical.
What was the lowest moment?
That was it.
Oh,
That
was
moment, yes.
When you were getting photographed in a ball gown.
Right.
Of course.
The pictures came out terrific.
I'm sure they did. That's
They
why I
did.
adore you.
You can't, life is, nothing is perfect. And there are ups and downs. And of course, one tries to be prepared, when somebody pulls the rug out from under you. You never know. It could be some totally, that had nothing to do with me, and you just have to roll with the punches. You just have to protect yourself. Not, you have to be able to compartmentalize things. And then you can't think about something 24 hours a day. First of all, I never punish myself for anything, and you have to compartmentalize things, take them and put them over there, and then just go on with your life. I went out every night of my life and had a great time, in spite of the fact that things were shitty. I went out anyway. I had fun. And you have to make every minute count.
So shit hits the fan. You're broke. Whatever. How do you recover?
Well, it was a long process. I did a lot of different things. Plus, I sold my apartment.
Well, what would you say a long process? What kind of things did you do?
Well, I have a lot of consulting agreements with a lot of different companies.
Okay.
I was actually a consultant to Robert Evans. I worked with him for a long time. We were in the process of trying to do a remake of Love Story, and when all this happened. So and then I worked for another company called Great Health Works, which is a company called Omega XL.
Yeah, Mega XL.
Yeah, I did a lot of projects for them too. It's a great product.
Right. That's really interesting.
I'm waiting for my big moment again, where I'm going to make it back big time with my new invention.
What's it going to be?
Star Shooter.
Tell us.
Star Shooter is the most fabulous. They actually compared me today with it's a case for your phone that stands up horizontally and vertically, and the stick comes around the front and makes into a selfie stick, and it lights up.
And lights up what color?
It lights up white, blue and white, pink and white, and multicolor.
They don't have that right now?
Paparazzi. They have lights. I mean, they have a product called Lumi, which is like a rubber thing that goes around your phone that lights up.
Right.
And there are different things you can stick on your phone that light up, but this is an all-in-one case.
And when's it going to be available?
I hope sometime in my lifetime.
Oh, okay, good.
And we're down to the wire here now. They're testing it, as a matter of fact.
So, the Nikki Haskell Show can be seen where?
On Amazon Prime.
And what do you charge? Or what do they charge?
I don't know what they charge.
They just know what checks you get in the mail.
Yeah, but it's so great because I've done 27 documentaries. I did, there's a Netflix documentary that I did with Donald Trump. More people stop me from that than anything I've ever done in my life.
I saw it was good.
Plus I did an 6-part documentary for A&E. I've got one coming out at the beginning of the year. It's on the 80s. It's CNBC.
Oh, is that not out yet?
No.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Because CNN did one.
Right, I saw it. It was fabulous.
They did every decade.
Right.
But this one's coming out. They license my footage. I get $5,000 a minute.
A minute?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let's see. How does that work? Well, what do you mean a minute? How many minutes are there?
As many minutes as you want. Like if you want me to do an interview, you have to take $5,000 of my footage before I'll do the interview.
But what if
You'll
the,
get my bill momentarily.
okay, yeah, right, you'll get mine too. Okay, so what happens, so that it goes on CNN, they use the footage, so, but every time, it's not, there's not,
No.
it's 30-second clips, 20-second clips, so
Right.
how does it get over $5,000 then?
1 minute.
Right, but, so every time it re-airs that?
No. It's a one-shot deal. They pay licensing fee.
But how many minutes of yours did they have? They show,
Well-
they show a shot of you at Studio 54, or a shot here or there, it
Yeah.
doesn't cumulatively add to multiple minutes,
Yes, it does.
does it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, I did the, they actually, for the Studio 54 documentary, they took 20 minutes, they took, how much they took? They took 20,000, they took 4 minutes of my footage from Studio 54.
But they don't use the 4 minutes.
Yes, they do.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, these documentaries are, the one, they paid for it, I don't know, they didn't use all of it, and they did an interview with me, plus I did the Alan Carr documentary, and I did documentaries on Joan Collins, and they licensed my footage because I was the only one that had footage in that time.
How do you keep, where do you keep this footage?
Well, it's very interesting, I have warehouses filled with them, and I've subsequently transferred everything, yes,
Digital.
yes, oh, it's
Yeah, in
pain
the
in
old days
ass.
you had to keep it in like salt mines and keep it like really preserved.
3/4 inch, nobody even has the equipment to edit it anymore. And then it falls off the tape. The only thing that saved me is I always see, people used to use a tape, then they use another, they use it over and over and over again. I never did that. I use it once, take it, edit it, so they were all, the other day, I just edited 20 more shows that are going up, and probably by the end of February, I'll have 100 shows up.
Wow.
It's a lot.
All right, so we've covered dictators, we've
And
covered,
and then you forgot my Star Cruncher. We did that great
we
video
did the
together.
Star Cruncher
Yeah,
too.
that's available on Amazon Prime.
She's hawking everything.
That's it.
Jesus, you're gonna start hawking my jewelry.
I like, where is your jewelry?
I-
You hawked it already.
I hit it before you came.
I love your socks.
Thank you.
Very
Polka
cool.
dots. All right, Toots, that's
it.
it.
Is this it? Is this a wrap?
That's.
Where to find our Instagram?
That's a wrap.
My Instagram is BigNickBH, and I'm at Nikki Haskell on Facebook.
That's it. All right, kids.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.